There's a killer walking through your business right now. Not a competitor, not the economy, not even that one employee who keeps missing deadlines. It's already inside your head, and by the time most founders notice it, they've already lost the company, the marriage, or their own mind. And the wild part? You've been trained your whole life to feed it. You know the feeling. It's 11 p.m., and you're still staring at your laptop, replying to an email you should have closed out 6 hours ago. Your phone's buzzing with a Slack notification you're dreading to open. Your co-founder just texted, "We need to talk," no context, just those 4 words, sitting there like a loaded gun. Your chest tightens. Your jaw locks. And before you've even processed what happened, you're already drafting an angry reply in your head. That, right there, that split second, where your mind hijacks your body before your brain even catches up, that's the killer. It doesn't show up on your P&L. It doesn't show up in your churn rate or your burn rate. It shows up in the decisions you make when you're not thinking straight. The employee you fired out of frustration instead of clarity. The deal you walked away from because your ego got bruised in the room. The partnership you torched over a message you read wrong at 2 a.m. Here's the truth nobody puts on a LinkedIn post. Most businesses don't die because the founder wasn't smart enough or wasn't working hard enough. They die because the founder couldn't survive their own reactions. You can out-hustle almost anything: bad markets, bad luck, bad timing. But you cannot out-hustle a mind that's constantly at war with itself. There's a name for this killer, and it's older than every business book on your shelf. The Stoics called it the tyranny of the passions, being ruled by whatever emotion shows up first, instead of ruling yourself. And 2,000 years ago, one man figured out how to beat it while running something far more brutal than any startup, an empire on fire. His name was Marcus Aurelius. Picture this for a second. You're not running a Series A company with investors breathing down your neck. You're running the Roman Empire, and it's actively falling apart in your hands. A plague is wiping out a chunk of your population. Your own general, a man you trusted, just declared himself emperor and tried to overthrow you while you were away fighting a war on the frontier. Your wife, some historians say, may have even been in on it. Your soldiers are freezing, dying, mutinying, and you're out there, in a tent, on the edge of civilization, writing to yourself. Not writing a manifesto. Not writing a speech to rally the troops. Writing to himself reminders, in the middle of chaos, to stay steady. That collection of private notes became what we now call meditations. And if you actually read it, it's not some polished leadership guide. It's a man constantly catching himself before he spirals, telling himself over and over, don't let this news control you. Don't let this betrayal decide who you become today. The event is not the problem, your reaction to the event is the problem. Now bring that back to your world. Your version of the mutiny isn't a general trying to steal your throne. It's your best engineer quitting the week before launch. It's a client ghosting you after promising a 6-figure deal. It's your co-founder blindsiding you in a meeting in front of your whole team. Different century, same exact test. Can you stay in command of yourself when everything around you is trying to knock you off balance? Here's what almost nobody tells founders. The market doesn't actually care how talented you are. It cares how you behave under pressure, because that behavior compounds. Every reactive decision you make gets baked into your company's culture, your team's trust in you, and your own nervous system's baseline for how much chaos it can absorb before it breaks. You're not just building a product, you're building a pattern. And if that pattern is founder loses it when things get hard, that pattern will eventually cost you everything you built. Think about the founders you respect the most, The ones who seem almost unbothered in interviews, calm during a crisis, steady when the whole team is losing their minds. You probably assume they're just wired different. They're not. Most of them got wrecked early, burned out, blindsided, betrayed, and somewhere in that wreckage, they figured out the same thing Marcus figured out in that tent. You don't get to control most of what happens to you in business. Markets crash, people lie, deals fall apart for reasons that have nothing to do with you. But you get full, complete control over one thing: how you respond. And that one thing ends up deciding almost everything else. This isn't about suppressing your emotions, by the way. That's the biggest misunderstanding people have about Stoicism, and it's the opposite of what it actually teaches. Marcus wasn't emotionless. He grieved. He got frustrated. He doubted himself constantly. It's written right there, in his own journal. The difference is, he didn't let the emotion drive the car. He let it exist. He noticed it. And then, he chose the next move on purpose, instead of on autopilot. Most founders never learn how to do that. They either bottle everything up until they explode on their team, or they let every gut reaction fly and call it authenticity. Neither one is strength. Both of them are the silent killer wearing a different mask. So here's the real question you need to sit with before we go further. When was the last time something blindsided you? A bad email, a lost client, a harsh comment from an investor, and you actually chose your response instead of just reacting on instinct? If you're being honest, it's probably been a while. And that's not a character flaw. That's just what happens when nobody ever taught you the actual mechanics of how to catch yourself in that split second before the spiral starts. That mechanic, the exact tool Marcus used, sitting in that freezing tent, staring down mutiny and plague and betrayal, and somehow still leading an empire without losing his mind, is what we're getting into next. Because once you see how simple it actually is, you're going to realize you've been fighting this battle with your bare hands the entire time, when there was a weapon sitting right in front of you the whole time. Stay with me. The tool Marcus used has a name, and it's simpler than anything they teach you in an Ember program. The Stoics called it the pause, but that word undersells it. It's not just counting to 10. It's a complete rewiring of the gap between what happens to you and what you do next. And once you understand how it actually works, you'll see it everywhere in your own business, mostly in the places where you've been getting it wrong. Here's the mechanism, stripped down. Something happens, your co-founder sends that cold text. Your biggest client cancels. Your ad account gets shut down for no reason. In that moment, your brain does something it's done since you were a caveman dodging predators. It floods your body with stress chemicals before your rational mind even has a chance to weigh in. Your heart rate spikes. Your thinking narrows. You go into fight, flight, or freeze, and none of those three options were built for running a company. They were built for surviving a lion. Marcus understood this without a single neuroscience textbook. He wrote it plainly: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's not a fortune cookie line, that's an operating instruction. The event itself, the mutiny, the plague, the betrayal, those are neutral facts. It's the story you immediately layer on top of them that turns a fact into a 5-alarm fire in your chest. This client leaving means I'm failing. My co-founder texting that means he's about to blindside me. Notice none of that is proven yet. It's your nervous system writing a screenplay in real time, and you're about to act out a scene that hasn't even happened. The pause is where you catch that screenplay before you start performing it. Not by shutting your emotions off, we already covered that's not the goal, but by putting one single beat of space between the trigger and your response. In that beat, you ask yourself one Stoic question that changes everything. Is this within my control, or is it not? Because almost everything that wrecks a founder's mental state falls into the second category, dressed up to look like the first. Let me give you the second story, because this is where it gets real for anyone building something today. There's a lesser-known figure in Stoic history, Epictetus, who actually taught Marcus's philosophical tradition a generation earlier. Before he became one of the most respected teachers in Rome, Epictetus was a slave. His leg was permanently crippled. Some accounts say his own master broke it. Think about that for 1 second. A man with zero control over his own body, his own freedom, his own daily existence, ends up building a philosophy that some of the most powerful people in history, including an actual emperor, would use to run their lives. How does a man with nothing figure out something that founders with everything still can't grasp? Because Epictetus drew the sharpest line ever drawn between what's yours and what isn't. Your body, your reputation, other people's opinions of you, whether the client says yes, whether the market crashes, none of that is fully yours. What is yours? Your judgments, your choices, your effort, your response. That's it. That's the whole list. And he built an entire life of freedom, even in captivity, by refusing to hand his peace of mind over to things on the other list. Now put yourself back in your business. Your investor ghosting your update email, not yours to control. How you follow up, and whether you let it wreck your next 3 decisions, completely yours. Your top performer quitting for a competitor, not yours to control. How you handle the exit conversation, what you learn from it, whether you let it poison how you treat the rest of your team, 100% yours. Every single founder who's ever burned out, snapped at their team, made a brutal decision they regretted, made that mistake in the exact same place they grabbed something off the not mine list and tried to control it anyway. And it cost them their clarity. Here's where this gets practical, because philosophy without application is just a nice quote on a poster. Next time something hits you, a bad email, a missed number, a hard conversation waiting in your inbox, try this before you respond to anything. Name the emotion out loud, even just in your head. I'm angry. I'm scared this deal is dead. I feel disrespected right now. That single act, naming it, pulls it out of your gut and into your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain actually built for decision-making. Then ask the Epictetus question. What part of this is actually mine to control? Usually it's smaller than you think. Then, and only then, decide your next move on purpose, not on impulse. This is what separates the founders who last 15 years from the ones who flame out after 18 months of non-stop chaos. It's not talent. It's not even resilience in the way people usually talk about it. It's this one repeatable skill, catching the gap, asking the question, choosing on purpose, done over and over, thousands of times, until it becomes who you are, instead of something you have to remember to do. And here's the part that should actually give you some peace tonight. You don't need to master this overnight. Marcus didn't. That's the whole reason meditations exists. It's not a finished philosophy. It's a man practicing, failing, and reminding himself again and again for years, in the middle of running an empire that was actively trying to kill him. Some entries in that journal are basically him scolding himself for losing his temper the day before. If the most powerful man in the world needed daily practice to not be ruled by his own mind. You're allowed to need practice too. So here's what I want you to actually do with this. Pick one moment this week, one email, one hard conversation, one gut punch of bad news, and just run the pause. Name it. Ask what's actually yours. Choose your response, instead of letting your nervous system choose it for you. That's it. That's the entire practice. Do that consistently, and you'll start noticing something strange happen. The chaos around your business doesn't actually shrink, but your reaction to it does. And that shift is worth more than any growth hack, any funding round, any viral launch you'll ever pull off. Because none of that matters if the person running the company can't stay standing when things get hard. The silent killer doesn't go away because you read one video about it. It goes away because, moment by moment, decision by decision, you take back the one thing that was always yours to control in the first place, your own mind. That's not weakness. That's not some soft, passive way of dealing with pressure. That was the exact same tool an emperor used to hold an empire together while it was burning down around him. You're not building anything close to that scale of chaos. But the tool works exactly the same either way. If this hit something in you, stick around. This channel's Stoic founder is built entirely for people carrying the weight you're carrying right now. Hit that like button if this gave you even one moment of clarity. Share it with a founder you know is white-knuckling their way through a hard season. And subscribe if you want more of this real Stoic thinking, built specifically for the boardroom, not just the battlefield. I'll see you in the next one.